Well, I knew this one wasn't going to be easy. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Assetto Corsa Competizione on Low Fuel Motorsport for a GO Setups GT3 Sprint race on a track I've always avoided until today. Circuit Ricardo Tormo in Valencia. Boy, has this track been a nightmare to learn for the first time this week. As a result, I'm starting all the way down in P19. I wasn't able to get my lap time into the 132s, so I find myself nearly 2 seconds slower than Dennis Neary in pole position. This one is going to be a real challenge. If you offered me a top 15 now, I would snap your hand off. Here we go then, getting underway from P19 on the grid. It has been a long time since I've started this far back. What can I do from 19th position? Well, first I've got to survive an incredibly congested turn 1 here at Valencia. There's a big orange Bentley going around my outside. That is Peter Huggy, one of several drivers to carry extra momentum, taking the wider line through that fast first corner. Meanwhile, I was boxed right in on the tighter line. I had no choice but to take it cautiously because I knew I had multiple cars out to my right. Meanwhile, ahead, 2 cars in the gravel to the left. The first 2 casualties of this race. Meanwhile, I'm still jostling with cars on my inside. Not only Sergio Lopez in that Lamborghini, but also Francisco Barafani in the Porsche. Barafani has been alongside me since turn 2, and I just can't shake him. Maybe now I can with the inside line. No, look, Barafani still not giving up with side by side. Now the next corner is another left-hander, so I'm going to have the higher ground once again. Maybe now I can shake Barafani and make this position my own. He's not giving up, is he? But the wider line isn't going to do him any favours there, and I do finally get in front of the Porsche. Well, what an intense start to this race. I've spent the best part of 2/3 of this opening lap side by side with Barafani. Only now have I got in front of him, but still I'm only in P19, the same position that I started this race. That's even with the 2 freebies from that crash we saw at turn 3. So not a good start at all. I lost multiple positions in turn 1, being cautious on that inside line, and only now am I back to where I started this race. At the end of lap 1 then, I'm going to cross the line in P19. Let's go back and check out a replay to see what happened at turn 3. Now we're watching the green McLaren of Sven Sundmacher, and it looks like there's contact with the Honda of Josh Furr. It was difficult to see from that angle, but I'm wondering if the McLaren just drifted back over into the path of Furr, and yeah, that's exactly what happened. Start of lap 2 then, P19. I'm breathing down the neck of Sergio Lopez in front of me, but I'm under equal pressure from Francisco Barafani behind me. Now the pack is going to concertina back together again as we come through this slow turn 2. Lopez wasn't too convincing exiting the corner. That's half a chance for me. I've just run out of room though, taken to the curb on the inside. I have to think better of it. Meanwhile, there's contact in front. It looks like everybody has managed to hold on to it, but this is going to make us 4 wide coming into turn 5. It looked like Peter Huggy in that orange Bentley was the biggest casualty there. He's dropped back several positions. There may be another place up for grabs for me though, because I'm on the inside of the yellow Ferrari driven by Pavel Kompas. I've got past Kompas and I find myself now up into P17. Well, as the lights went green to start this race, I asked myself, what can I do from 19th position? Well, I've got to have my sights set on a top 15 now, and all of a sudden I find myself in the top 15. Another 2 crashes. Well, I was just sizing up a potential move up the inside of Lopez when those yellow flags came out. That did cause me just to lift momentarily and abort the pass. Meanwhile, in my rearview mirror, take a look at Kompas. He is going to get it wrong coming through that tricky right-hander, and Kompas has gone. So all of a sudden, the pressure is lifted behind. Right, let's go back and see what happened on this second lap. We're watching Miguel Gomez in the Sky McLaren, and he just gets tagged from behind by Peter Huggy in the Bentley, and of course that brings the pack right back together. Look how tight it is coming through turn 5. And then a couple of corners later, I gained 2 more positions. Watch the battle at the front of the screen. The VR46 BMW of Morten Buschkuhler almost getting spun around, and just as he tries to save it, he runs into the path of Ruben Barsha in that number 2 Lexus. And then at turn 12, we lost Pavel Kompas right behind me. He actually got a helping hand there from Francisco Barafani. Right, back to the live action then. Starting lap 3, and that incident behind has opened up a bit of a gap. Barafani is now nearly 1 second adrift. Meanwhile, I'm closing in on the two drivers in front of me, Miguel Gomez and Sergio Lopez. The pair of them are fighting over this P13. They're slowing each other down, and as a result, they are going to slow me down as well. That is going to give Barafani the chance to close back in. So I've switched the TV cam on. We can watch from Barafani's on board as he gets closer and closer to the rear of my Lamborghini. Now, of the two cars in front, I get the feeling that Lopez in 14th is quicker than Gomez ahead of him. However, this is such a tricky track to overtake on. Lopez is not able to get his Lamborghini alongside the McLaren of Gomez, and that is what is slowing all of us down here. Yeah, look how close we all are now coming through turn 11. Gomez in 13th, Lopez in 14th, me in 15th and Barafani 16th. All four of us separated by just 1 second, and then Huggy is breathing down Barafani's neck as well, so we could soon be in a 5-way battle for 13th position. Hard onto the brakes into the final corner to end this third lap. I'm breathing down the neck of Lopez now, but Barafani is breathing down my neck. We are getting no rest at all here. The intensity levels are remaining sky high as we begin lap 4 here at Valencia. Into turn 1 then. I'm just going to get on the brakes a touch earlier, anticipating the pack grouping close together, which it does do. Watch Barafani's on board. He's going to try and capitalise by getting even closer, and he's too close. He runs right into the back of my Lamborghini. Well, thankfully, it was a direct hit. I was able to stay facing in the right direction, but that was a big hit at the start of this 4th lap. Let's take another look at the replay. Yeah, Barafani just getting caught out by the slower speed of the 3 cars in front of him, and I am grateful that hit didn't do more damage. Right, back to the live action. We're just starting lap 5. Once again, approaching turn 2. I'm going to keep one eye on my rearview mirror here in the hope that Barafani doesn't run in hot again. No, he's wise to it this time. He's earlier on the brakes. I will switch the TV cam back on though, just so we can continue to keep one eye on Barafani's on board. Meanwhile, in front of me is pretty much as you were. Gomez still in P13, but I just get the feeling he's holding the rest of us up a little bit here through turn 5. Oh, the rear steps out. I've got to try and save it. There's no way of avoiding the gravel. That puts me out onto the wide line. I've lost one position. I may lose more. No, I just managed to get back on track in time. Well, that really caught me out. Without any warning, the rear suddenly let go, exiting turn 5. I managed to hold on to it and keep it facing in the right direction, but it's cost me a position to Barafani. Right, back to the live action. We've jumped forward a couple of laps. We're at the end of lap 7 now, and it's taken me this long to get myself back onto the rear of this 3-way battle for 13th position. And that mistake a couple of laps ago may have been an early warning sign that I am cooking my tyres here at Valencia. Look at the tyre temperatures, particularly the rear right. They are smoking. I've been sliding through a lot of these corners. Speaking of sliding through corners, well, was Sergio Lopez sliding his Lamborghini towards the barrier at turn 1 there. He got that completely wrong. As a result, it's promoted me back up into the top 15, and I resumed my position at the back of a 3-way battle for 13th. Now, when I was occupying this spot a few laps ago, we were watching Lopez really struggle to find a way past Gomez ahead of him. Now we've got the opportunity to see if Barafani can fare any better, because that Porsche is all over the rear of the Sky McLaren now. But just like Lopez, Barafani is really struggling to find a suitable gap to pass. Meanwhile, take a look in the rearview mirror, because we've got new company now. Ruben Barsha is just 0.3 of a second behind. Now, we saw Barsha come to grief at this very corner on lap 2. Barsha is fighting his way back through the pack, and he is now breathing down my neck in the hope of getting back into the top 15. So yeah, as things stand, we've got Gomez in 13th, Barafani in 14th, me in 15th, Barsha in 16th. This is Barafani's opportunity. Oh, but this is the toughest place on the track to pass on the inside. There's surely contact. I react just in time to avoid the pair of them. And as soon as I saw Barafani going for that inside line, I knew it was going to end in tears. It's almost impossible to get the job done there. And the very moment that Porsche clipped the race curb on the inside, it was game over for both of them. Let's take another look from my own board. Watch for the race curb right there. As soon as Barafani hits that, he's got no chance of getting that car turned in, and it was always going to end in disaster. Right, approaching the end of lap 8 now. And with Barafani and Gomez both gone, I'm now up into P13 with a clear track in front of me. However, sadly, I've not got a clear rear view mirror because Barsha is breathing down my neck. I've switched the TV cam back on. Barsha's actually going to have a look at the inside into turn 1. I should have defended there. I haven't done, so I'm going to have to be brave. I'm going to have to hold my line around the outside and try and hold Barsha off. I've managed it. Well, that was a real grit-your-teeth moment, but I think the adrenaline is pumping a bit too much now because I've overcooked it into T2, missing the apex completely. Somehow I've still managed to hold Barsha off, but Barsha is getting closer and closer. Look in the rearview mirror, there's almost contact. The intensity levels here are off the charts. We're at the halfway point of the race now, and I have not had one moment to rest. And if I'm honest, I'm not sure how long I can keep this up. I don't know for how much longer I can hold off Ruben Barsha. I mean, it certainly looks like he's got a fair bit of pace about him, and he's also car number 2, which means he is the second highest rated driver on this grid. Having said that, he only qualified in P15. 4 positions in front of me. His lap time only 3/10 quicker. However, it certainly looks like he's more than 3/10 faster than I am at the moment. I am really struggling here to hold off the Lexus. I'm going to have to be a bit more defensive this time around. If you remember a lap ago, Barsha made a move up the inside into turn 1. I'm going to try my very best to avoid that happening again. So I'm going ultra defensive into this final corner. I'm staying ahead of Barsha for now. Get on the gas as quickly as I can, exiting the corner, and once again, wasting no time in moving to the defensive line. But look at Barsha, he's got the pace advantage. He's got no choice but to move to the outside. This time it's my turn to hold the inside line into T1, but I don't think it's going to make any difference. Such is the speed difference. Barsha in the Lexus just breezes past me. Well, in hindsight, that defensive route into the final corner really hurt me. It made the turn so much tighter. I wasn't able to get on the gas quickly enough. I lost loads of speed down the start-finish straight, and I dropped from P13 down into P14. And it could yet get worse because now I'm under attack from Yannick Danican in that white Ferrari. But yeah, let's take another look at this. I did everything I could with the defensive line, but I just didn't have the speed. And in the end, it was a pretty straightforward overtake for Barsha. He did leave me space on the inside just in case I was there. Really good driving from Barsha, but he didn't need to. He got the job done. Well, back to the live action. We're at 2/3 race distance. I'm starting to lose ground on Barsha ahead, and I'm getting very, very ragged. Another big mistake into turn 2. Another missed apex, and that has opened up the opportunity for Danican to challenge. With side by side coming through this tricky section. I'm going to have the inside line for turn 4. Can I hold off Danican's Ferrari here? Well, yes I can, but I'm not too sure how much longer I will be able to. This is getting even more intense now. 2/3 race distance, and still I am under all sorts of pressure. It just doesn't ease up here at Valencia. Honestly, with this amount of stress, you'd think I'd be fighting for the race win, but no, all I'm doing is clinging on to try and keep myself in the top 15. Well, honestly, I think I'm my own worst enemy here because the harder I try, the more I end up overdriving. That causes me to slide, and that makes my tyres even hotter. It's a vicious circle. This might be one slide too many. I've completely missed the apex here into this right-hander. That has allowed Danican the inside line. We're approaching this tricky right-hander. I remember what happened earlier, so I'm just going to back off to keep myself safe, but I've almost lost it. Fighting with everything I've got to keep the car facing in the right direction. I have managed to save it, but I've lost a bunch of positions. I've surrendered my top 15 spot and I find myself down in 17th. Yeah, my tyres are screaming at me to stop. I'm just pushing too hard, sliding the car into too many corners, losing grip. There was a bit of contact there as well. And as I enter turn 12, the rear steps out. At this point, I thought I was a goner. Somehow I managed to keep it on track, but I drop a few positions. Now, one of the drivers to take advantage of that mistake was Daniel Jaramillo in the Ferrari. Jaramillo is the driver right in front of me here in P16, and he is going to run into some problems. Look, he pulls over to the left, and he's suddenly lost all momentum. Now, I'm wondering if Jaramillo has forgot to put his race distance fuel in. And that is Jaramillo out of the race and me up into P16. Right, jumping forward now to the end of lap 13. We've got just 4 minutes left on the clock, and I'm 2.5 seconds behind Barafani in 15th position. So at the moment, my hopes of a top 15 finish are looking slim here. If anything, I'm going to drop back further because I'm now under pressure once again. This time it's Morten Buschkuhler in the BMW who's going to try and move into turn 1. So I'm going to have to make myself as big as I possibly can here. I'm going to have to tough it up to hold on to this position. I do just about manage it. I did run a little bit wide on exit, but for now I'm holding on to this P16. Buschkuhler is going to come back for more though. What's happening in front? What's the gap to Barafani now? It's 2.7 seconds, so the gap is increasing to the driver in 15th position. That is because I'm concentrating on holding off this BMW behind. I desperately need to shake Buschkuhler if I'm going to stand any chance at all of closing in on Barafani. Right, jumping forward to the very last lap, and it's good news on both counts. I have managed to gap Buschkuhler behind. He is now 1.5 seconds adrift, and at the same time I've managed to close right in on Barafani. I've now closed that gap to within 1 second. We've got half a lap to go. Is there an outside chance in a top 15 here at Valencia? Well, it's odds against me, I've got to admit it, but while there's a chance, I'm going to give it everything I've got over this final half a lap. Put yourself in Barafani's shoes for a moment. He is seeing me get bigger and bigger in his rearview mirror over the last couple of laps. He knows that I'm now just 0.5 of a second behind, so he is going to be feeling the pressure here. So I need to use that pressure to my advantage. Oh, wait a minute, Barafani is easing up. Has he run out of fuel too? Barafani pulls over. Is he running low on fuel? He's rejoined the racing line. He's still in my rearview mirror. But incredibly, I do find myself back into the top 15 with 1 corner to go. Well, I said at the start of the race that realistically a top 15 was as good as I could have hoped for here. I thought I'd thrown it all away earlier in the race, but here we are on the very last lap, and I have snatched it back. Brilliant fun here. Who says you need to be battling for a podium to enjoy a sim race? I have loved every minute of this one, and I've been struggling to keep myself inside the top 15. And on screen now is the moment that I sealed the top 15. That was the moment that Barafani pulled over to give me 15th position. And here are the classified results. Yeah, I still wasn't able to get my lap times down into the 132s. A 133.1 was my fastest in that. It just wasn't competitive for anything higher than a 15th position. Well, that's not bad for a first attempt on a track I've never tried before. Really fun this one, thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed watching it. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you again soon.